This is a lesson. You need to remember that Charles and Myrtle Fillmore gave lessons. They didn't just give messages. So what is the suggestion that the idea of a lesson brings to you? What? Teaching something to learn. Good. Excellent. And does it also bring to you the awareness of a test or testing? that laugh was a little forced.
A challenge to think.
Pardon?
A challenge to think.
A challenge to think. I promise. So this is a lesson. It's called Get a Life. Now, the first question is, when something's portrayed like it is, it's correctly portrayed in your bulletin. Get a Life is an L period, I period, F period, E period, right? You see that? Right? Okay. So what is that? That was very quiet. You're right. You can say it louder. An acronym. This room it carries sound very well. So if you will speak up when you're right or otherwise, we will all know one way or the other. So it's an acronym, correct. That means that each one of those letters stands for a word. In this case, each one of those letters stands for a unity principle. One of them, in fact, 3 of the 4 happen to be part of the 12 powers. Do we know about the 12 powers? We'll see. So if I were to ask you about not just a unity principle, but a universal, powerful principle that is planet-wide, that is probably the greatest force on this planet, starting with L, you would tell me it is? Love. Oh, very good. But that was also very easy. Love. Love is the fulfilling of the law. Jesus taught the disciples and others to love one another, he said, as I have loved you. How did Jesus love? Unconditionally. Good. Good. Unconditionally. It didn't matter what you might have done before. It didn't matter what your place in life was. That's sort of what got him into so much trouble, because he was dealing with people that were not the right ones, you know. But he loved them anyway. Unconditionally. He loved them. Good. You know, love is the fulfilling of the law. Emmett Fox. Do we know about Emmett Fox? Yes, good. Contemporaneous with the Fillmores. Had a wonderful church. Not a unity church, but a wonderful, they didn't call it New Thought then, but metaphysical church in New York City for years. Brilliant writer, brilliant speaker, Matthew Fox. And he said this. He said, if there be any place, in any empty place in your life, fill it with love. Any empty place. That isn't just about relationships. That's everything. Fill it with love. Because love has that powerful, Teilhard de Chardin speaks about, is like radial energy. It attracts like to like. So whatever it is you would draw into your life, love it. Love it. Don't love your pet peeves. Don't love the person who cuts you off on well, you probably do need to love the person who cuts you off on I-5, but don't love the being cut off part. You don't need to have that prospered, I don't think. Well, the last sort of regular church that I served was in West Palm Beach, Florida, near where I still live. If there is any sunshine over the next, I'll be out here 15 days. If there's any sunshine, I'm taking full credit for that. Remember, I lived here for 10 years. I'm aware. It's not summer yet. The rain hasn't warmed. I moved to California where I kept the charade up. You know, the Oregon people and we have an agreement, and that is that when you speak to anyone from California, you infer that it rains every single day, 365 days a year, and all night. I kept that up too. So this is a note from a wonderful young woman who came to my church in West Palm Beach when I served there. And she came with a problem, a healing problem. She had heard that I was doing healing, and this afternoon, after the goodies that are out there, I didn't sample any. However, I looked under everything, and it looks really good. After that, I'm going to invite y'all. Oh, and I need to say this. I was in Memphis, and I said I want to invite y'all to come to my workshop after the service, just like I'm doing with you right now. And someone stood up right about over in there somewhere, and she said, "Excuse me, Reverend." I went, I'm talking. She's not supposed to interrupt me. I'm the minister. Anyway, "Excuse me, Reverend, but that's not plural." And I didn't say it, sort of went, "Oh." And she says, "Yes, plural is you should say, I want to invite all y'all to my workshop. Wouldn't want to leave anybody out." Anyway. At that workshop, I'll tell you about how I got into all of this, and not on purpose, or not on my purpose, God's purpose maybe, but not mine. But anyway, she heard that I was doing healing work, and she came. She had TMJ. Do we know about that? It's very painful. Something about the mandibular joint. And so when you eat or speak or talk or laugh, that's even worse. Probably laughing is the worst thing, which is a terrible kind of a disease. It's painful. So she came and she had a healing, and we were blessed that she did have a healing. But that's not why she wrote this. This is part of a note she wrote. I keep my notes. We love notes, don't we? Send the nice notes. Send nice notes to ministers they love. It's good to hug them and say that was a good lesson or a good message, and hug them and all that. But a note is even better because you can hold on to it. Because this has now been, oh boy, this is 12 years ago probably. Anyway, Susan is her name. She said, "When I came here 2 years ago, I was in pain," which she was, "and very confused about my life. Now my pain is gone, and I have found a deep sense of love for myself and those here at Unity. My life is working." Ooh. That's sort of my favorite phrase when someone says, because Unity used to be, I go back a long ways, used to be, on the front of the Unity Village was a sign that said, "Unity School of Practical Christianity." My life is working is absolutely the essence of what Unity was about, and is about. And he says, "So, my life is working. I want to thank you for being my minister, my healer, and my friend. I now know that I am loved and I'm free to love others. I love you and this church. Thank you, and God bless you, Susan." Isn't that nice? That's why I saved that one. Yeah, Susan. So, okay, now, the second, the I, not one of the 12 powers, but it's something that's already happened here, mostly thanks to our musicians and our reader, Giselle. Already, what might that be? The I. Inspiration. Good. She told me you were fairly bright. Inspiration, inspiro, literally means to be inspirited. The same root. Inspired means to put, spirit into whatever it is that you're involved with. Inspiro, inspirited. It's really good. So, inspired, yeah. So here's a story. Now this test will be out of literature. You ready? I know there's some teachers here in the room. How many teachers? There are always teachers in you. Her husband just held her arm down. I won't say who it is, but in her last name there's an O first. So you'll know this, of course. We'll count on you to know. I'm not giving you that responsibility. You have lots of help here. All right, so listen carefully. This is all about inspiration. A man came home and reluctantly told his wife he had just been fired from his job at a custom house.